I'd like to bring in two people now who know the pain and the frustration and the grief of these mass shootings firsthand. Deborah Hickson lost her husband, Chris, in the Parkland shooting. He was trying to disarm the gunman. And Veronique De La Rosa lost her son Noah in the Sandy Hook shooting. He was the youngest victim at just 5 years old. Ladies, thank you so much for being with us tonight. I know that there was a lot of what the president said tonight that resonated with people at home. I'm curious how it landed with each of you. Veronique, I'll start with you.
Well, it was a necessary speech for sure, and there's no turning a blind eye to what's happening. It's come to a crescendo of a public health crisis of major proportions. So I'm glad to hear that perhaps this time, although we did say that after Sandy Hook and certainly things happened on the state level, but it's time to examine what could happen on the federal level to address this issue.
Deborah, are you optimistic that this time we will see change?
I would love to be optimistic about it. To be honest, when Sandy Hook happened, I thought things were going to change then. When Parkland happened and March for Our Lives and the kids rose up and the kids were the ones that were demanding change, I thought we would see change then. And here we are. And they're still happening and there's been no change. So I want to be optimistic, but I am also realistic.
Deborah, I'm curious your thoughts because Florida did make changes after Parkland. There were legislative changes with the red flag law. There were changes with banning weapon sales to those under 21, a 3-day wait for long gun purchases. Is it going to come down to the states taking action because the federal government cannot? Is that where you think the difference may be?
We've heard that a lot. As we went to Washington, a lot of the legislators in Washington would rather it be at the state level. And we do have over 20 states that have implemented a red flag law, which would be most helpful in a lot of the situations, not just for mass shootings, but suicides and domestic violence. So if it has to be at the state level, then great. Let's do that. Maybe at the national level, we can incentivize through some kind of funding for states to do their own type of red flag laws and gun safety. But I think it makes more sense to be on the national level and to be more consistent. But as President Biden said today, we can't hold a everything we want kind of line, right? We have to be able to negotiate and find a middle ground so that something does finally get done. So if at the state level is where we can get it done, then that's where it'll have to be.
Veronique, of the proposals that the president put forth tonight, raising the age from 18 to 21 to buy some of these high-capacity weapons, banning assault weapons, strengthening the background checks, red flag laws, addressing the mental health crisis, safe storage laws, which of those things would you like to see most happen first?
An assault weapons ban. These military-grade weapons just do not belong out in the civilian population. They're designed to kill the maximum amount of people in the shortest amount of time with absolutely devastating consequences, as we've seen over and over again. We're kind of caught in this grotesque, horrifying Groundhog Day scenario where, thoughts and prayers and hearts go out to the families and let's not politicize this and it's too soon to, and then let's not trample on the Second Amendment at all. And it's a governmental overreach to question access to those weapons. And then nothing gets done and inevitably the headlines move on until the next event. But I feel like we're at an inflection point because these are coming faster and with less interval in between. And it is having absolutely devastating consequences on the public health, just status of our country, what we're having to absorb with this repeated trauma as a nation and individually, of course.
Deborah, interestingly, the president did say this is not about taking away guns or vilifying responsible gun owners. I think, interestingly, there was not a lot of pushback from folks in Florida and certainly from the NRA when Florida passed some of the laws that it did after the Parkland shooting. Where do you think the biggest resistance is in getting some of these laws passed?
I think we're making something political that shouldn't be political. As we've said a number of times, this is an epidemic. It's a health epidemic, and we're Americans. We should. The fact that we're killing our future, that our babies are dying, that these are the people that are supposed to grow up and make our nation better, and we're just sitting back and letting them continue to be slaughtered, should be an American issue. So I think at some point we have to stop worrying about who's Republican and who's Democratic. It's not, to me, never has been a political issue. No one stops anybody and asks them what their political affiliation is before they shoot them. So that we have to move past that and not draw those hard lines in the sand that say, because I'm a Republican or a Democrat, this is what I believe in. I believe we all believe in America. And we all believe that we should live in a safe society where our children can go to school and not have to worry about dying there, and our teachers and our staff in schools, in our churches, in our grocery stores. So at some point, it has to stop being political. For both of you, when we heard what had happened in Uvalde, it's heartbreaking and tragic and horrific for all of us to learn the details of this latest shooting involving children. Again, last night in Tulsa. For the two of you who have lost the people that you love the most, to see this continue to keep happening, describe for me the feelings of the open wound that creates for you both. Veronica, let's start with you on that.
It's something I battle with on a daily basis. It's just has opened up a chasm in the center of my life that nothing can really fill. It's an irreversible loss, the magnitude of which is almost beyond words to explain or convey. And if we want to believe that we are a life-affirming society, that we value the sanctity of life, then we must stop being a culture of death, because that is exactly what's happening. And the more these happen, the more inured a certain segment of the population becomes, and it just becomes an abstract, when in fact it impacts lives irreversibly in such horrifying and far-reaching ways. So it's just a loss that I will never recover from.
No, a nightmare neither of you will ever wake up from. Deborah, your husband, Chris, lost his life trying to disarm the gunman inside his school. How difficult is it for you to continue to have this conversation? It's like pulling off a scab on a wound continually over and over again, and as we've said, thoughts and prayers, they're nice and we appreciate them. But at this point, we need empathy and outrage. We need people to understand that it isn't just another one. They're not just another set of numbers for mass shooting victims. That was a life. Christopher and I were together for 32 years. Every adult decision I ever made was with him in the center of it. And, how do you move past that? How do my special needs son struggles every day with how come other people died if his dad did, because he ran in there to stop them, and how did that not stop it? And then he sees it on TV and he goes back into a tailspin about, why does this, daddy was in there trying to stop this, why does it keep happening? I don't even know how to explain that to him. If there's ever a time for us to put our differences aside, it is now, when so many of our loved ones are dying. In honor of Chris and also Noah, before I let you both go, the president made a point tonight to talk about mental health and the crisis facing our youth across the country. I would love both of your thoughts on how we best reach our kids as mothers, as educators in this arena of gun violence. How do we reach our kids, and what do you think needs to be done on the federal level, at the state level, and around the kitchen table to handle this?
I guess I'll go first. I am an educator. I was a teacher for 32 years and recently elected on the school board. And what I think we need to look at is the access to social media and the fact that social media is now a platform for people to learn about mass shootings, to share their thoughts and their plans about mass shootings, and to be able to carry them out that way. So social media has turned into, I think, our biggest enemy in a lot of those arenas because we can't monitor it. And I think that we need to look at how there's a better way to do that. But we also, we do threat assessments in Florida. So then students are given mental health services, but then no one follows through to make sure that they're seeking those services and actually getting what's provided. So in Florida, we just passed a law where every district will have to have a mental health coordinator to ensure that students and their families, they go to the families and also provide them and let them know what services are available, because, it isn't just the student 9 times out of 10. There's a bigger picture there where everybody needs to get the services to be able to move forward. So I would say those are the 2 main things: to make sure that they're actually providing the services that are required, and how do we better deal with social media and not allow it to be a platform for mass murderers to learn and to advertise what they want to do.
Deborah and Veronique, I want to thank you both for being with us tonight. This is a difficult issue, but it's an important one, and one that, as I said just moments ago, has hit your families that you never recover from. In honor of Chris and also Noah, there is no better way to honor them than to put aside our differences, have these important conversations. I hope you both will come back, because I want to keep talking to you about this as we watch what happens, hopefully, in the days, weeks, and months to come. Thank you both for your time, and I'm sorry for your losses.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.